Hello, fellow gamers. I'm Gloryhound, and this is the very lovely Dr. Gloryhogg today. Your very lovely assistant, Doctor.
Hello, everybody. I was just doing a little dance where I was called End the Stream, End the Stream.
And hello to our chat today. Looks like we have Crowdfunding in chat, J. Peters, Battlecry, Omar, Andrew. How are you all doing today? This music bumps. I know, the new music, right? Like, working on some stuff. Working on some stuff. Little updates here and there, everybody.
I will say, if you go back and watch like the very first playthroughs we did, like right when COVID first hit and like I'd injured my back and everything, to now, there has definitely been some improvement.
Big difference, big improvements.
You hope, right? You'll never look back on this channel and say, wow, 10 years and they're still doing the same thing.
And they're still doing the same exact thing with
same
the same
intro,
yeah, no,
same
never,
thumbnails,
never.
Same video quality, no.
Also, we want to let all of you know to stay healthy out there.
Yeah, guys,
what the heck?
You can't be part of the pack if you're sick all the time. Like, you need to be healthy and here on the channel. I mean, we
have to get you some vitamins or something. Like, I feel bad for you all out there getting
we just
sick.
Want everyone to be here, right?
Yeah.
It's part of the live experience.
Absolutely.
So stay alive. Part of the live experience.
It helps with the live experience to stay alive. So.
That's not to
Very
exclude
proud.
zombies. If you're a zombie and or ghost, banshee, some type of spectral like creature, and you want to still be part of the show, and you still have an ability to like and subscribe, you can still be welcomed in the pack.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Basically, if you're able to like and subscribe, please join us.
Yeah, Andrew says, yeah, no more hospitals. Meeple vitamins. Ooh, we need meeple-shaped vitamins. That would be amazing. Like Flintstones, except better tasting and meeple shaped would be amazing.
It'd almost be worth it just to freak people out at the game store while you're like playing at like Silver Key Lounge.
And then you're like,
doot. Rule number 1 of the pack, no dying.
No dying.
Rule number 2 of the pack, no trying to overthrow the alpha.
Rule number 3, tell everyone. Tell everyone about the pack,
it's the opposite of Fight Club. We want everyone to know. Think of Fight Club, but in reverse. Rule 3 is tell everyone. Like, mail carrier, tell them.
So today, we're not talking about Kickstarters, we are talking about Gamefound today. I love Gamefound so much. I love that they're taking very select Kickstarters for their specific entity and putting those on there. I love their format that they have come out with. And I love the fact that they've sent me this preview via email going, here's all the amazing games that we're going to have out for the year.
Right, because with Kickstarter, you have to follow each individual company and be on all their mailing lists.
This one, they're like, no.
They told you. Yeah. They're like, hey, here's what's coming.
And it's not even that day. It's not even that day. It's pre-games. You get your pre-game on so you can see what's going on, and that is super fantastic. You can research ahead of time. So I'm super down.
I appreciate it, but rule number 1 is obviously not cardio, okay?
Rule number 1 is cardio whenever...
Cardio 10 years ago, maybe.
Whenever you're running from zombie.
I cardioed 10 to 15, 20-ish years ago. Who's counting, anyways?
And here's a good one, too. If you are a ghost, you are free to go into other people's houses and play their Kickstarters. 100%, yes.
That's true.
And if you haunt them like hard enough, you get to keep that Kickstarter game for yourself.
Little known fact, that game when we played Dwellings and I lost, I was actually being inhabited by a spirit who had never played the game.
Oh, weird.
That
is so weird.
Yeah.
So,
it was rough.
if you go over to Gamefound and it's / and then like a hashtag, you'll get to this page right here.
So fancy.
And
the link is in our description.
There you go. Link is in the description. You'll be able to see all the really cool stuff that's going to be coming out, and they kind of have a preview. How many days till launch on these? So there's some that we are not going to be talking about today. We just picked a few of the biggest ones. Oh my gosh, it's Alan.
And some of these are also expansions too. So this is going to be a unique format because we don't have all the information. So this is very much a give and take. We want to know what you've heard. We're going to tell you what we've heard and seen, and we can go kind of back and forth and speculate together about these games. These are... It'd be like getting the movie trailer without the rest of the movie being able to watch anytime soon. That's all we know is what they've shown us.
Welcome back, Alan. And Omar, yes, I think I know who I'll be haunting. Gloryhogg and Gloryhound. I would be fine with that. If you can play while you're a ghost, 100% fine, okay?
We always are looking for like a 3rd or 4th person.
That's right. You always need your 3rd or 4th ghost player in there, okay?
So
run the AI.
I want to start off with, can we start with Masters of the Universe?
Why?
Because that's the one that I named first in the title.
No.
Yes, do it.
I don't want to.
We talked about this.
I don't want to start with Masters of the Universe.
We talked about this.
Why can't we start with platformers like I chose?
Because that's going backwards versus how they're listed.
Doctor, you know what? Doctor,
Masters of the
who's
Universe.
running this? Get out of here.
See, rule number 2, don't try to overthrow the alpha. All right, all right. All right.
You really want to start with Masters of the Universe?
Yes, because that's the only one that's in the title.
Well,
so if somebody showed up just to hear about Masters of the Universe, they don't want to wait until the end.
Now I have to move everything, and that is very unsettling for me. Now my whole thing is just ruined. It's ruined.
So can I start off with this Masters of the Universe thing? There's a few things I want to talk about.
Okay.
So, one, Masters of the Universe. If you notice here, the one thing you don't see is an American flag. They do not have the licensing for North America. So, this is Masters of the Universe Fields of Eternia. And then the Come On one is going to be Masters of the Universe. Was it Clash of Eternia? Now I don't remember. Battles of Eternia? There's one word difference in this huge 7-word title situation here. So Come On has the U.S. rights, and this Archon Studios has the rights to everywhere else, it sounds like.
Oh, really?
And they're going to be different games. Like, I don't think they're just carbon pasted of each other, right?
Well, yeah, because, I mean, it's 2 different companies, yeah.
Which is something that I didn't initially know when I first got this media blast about this, was that this is actually, in fact, not going to be a U.S. game. So if you get it, you have to, like, smuggle it in. You have to, like, find somebody, like some shady person, and meet them at the docks, and they're going to have it, like, under their trench coat, and you're going to, like, trade them some, like, gold coins or something, because they only take gold coins for some reason. Like, they don't take cash. So you got to give them gold coins, and they're going to be like, all right, make the trade. And you got to do it, like, somewhere where it's foggy. If there's no fog, you have to bring your own smoke machine with you to make the fog under, like, one blinking street lamp. That's how you make this trade.
Big thing is if you have a Gamefound account, or if you don't have a Gamefound account, make sure you get a Gamefound account, because they end up giving you all sorts of perks and everything for being able to preview these ahead of time and follow them ahead of time. So if you are interested in following any of these games, you should be able to get a account, and then there's like a little button right here that you all can click to go ahead and follow the project, and you'll get notified whenever it drops. And some of these games are offering you like $5 off this, or free minis or promos and stuff like that.
Like most of the Awaken ones will give you like a miniature expansion of some sort, which could be a couple cards, could be a couple boards, who knows?
Right, so if you are not a Gamefoundie, make sure to get on that and then at least get $5 off, because it doesn't hurt to just follow it, and then if you decide later on you don't want it, but at least you still have that credit there.
Kajita swears if you have coins. Anyone want to buy some skooma? Every time. I just picture that cat popping out of the ceiling tile and be like, anybody want to buy some skooma?
And we are starting with Masters of the Universe Fields of Eternia, since this is a Euro game and stuff like that. It's made by Archon Studios.
European game.
It is not a Euro game. It's not
game.
a Euro game at all. There's not actually a whole lot of information on this. Let's hear. Hold on. Let me get my notes since Doctor messed me up here. Okay. So the big thing I wanted to go into on this one here is that this is going to be the same designer who designed Wolfenstein, which sadly has not come out just yet, so I can't really say, oh man, I love or hate Wolfenstein, and then start basing my opinion on that game. But Wolfenstein should be releasing somewhere around August, I think. I think they're in production now.
So I will say with this page gives you some just real general information.
Yes.
There is more information. They did do a Q&A also on here if you go to their blog on this site.
Okay.
And it does give you some more information. The biggest thing is you're going to be getting about 40-ish minis without any expansions. It's going to be like a skirmish area control game. It does come with She-Ra in the base game, I believe.
She-Ra, my girl!
All of the characters on this are all based off of the toy line, the Classics toy line. So it's not going to be the new She-Ra or any new He-Man stuff. It's all going to be based off the classic lines. There's going to be vehicles and mounts. There's going to be different places. One person's going to play a Skeletor, and the other people can fight against. The other person's going to fight against them. So, like,
it's going to be a one versus many sort of thing?
Well,
wow.
With the base game, the way it sounds is it's just going to be 1 versus 1. But if you get the expansions, which adds, like, the hordes and some other factions, you could then play potentially, like, 1 versus 2 or something like, or 1 versus 1, like, free-for-all situation. So there's some variability, because you can play it, like, I guess, solo, co-op, versus there's a lot of different ways you can play it, because it is both scenario based and also kind of has kind of like a little bit of a campaign, so you can kind of play it any way you want. Basically, they're doing what a lot of companies has. They're like, how do you want to play it? Well, yeah, you can do that.
You can do this, you can do it this way,
do you want it to have kind of like a story arc a little bit? Sure. Do you want it to be just one-off battles? Sure. Like, they're basically giving you everything in this. Like, it's a wide array of things based
It
on what they're
does look like
talking
it's
about.
going to be like somewhat of like a war game style game though here with all of the miniatures that you have here and that you're across Eternia here and like there's different areas. So I'm interested in that portion of it. Whenever you just said 1v1v1, I was like, ugh. I was thinking it was going to be like just an arena combat sort of thing. But no, if this is actually going into here and then you're spreading your troops across there and trying to take over territories and stuff, I'm more interested
area
in that.
control tactical. One of the things that they said was that this game, because you could even, if you're Skeletor, you could even potentially team up with He-Man temporarily.
What?
Or if you have goals that match up. They said it's going to be the most like the Fantasy Flight game Runebound. So with Runebound, you would go out, you would explore tokens, kind of like in Scythe, how Scythe has those like exploration tokens. You go out, you interact with the tokens, you flip it over, and then you get like a card or some little story prompt and you have to make a decision, and maybe you have to do a challenge or do like a battle or something based off of that. Plus, you're going to be battling against Skeletor, of course. So it sounds like there's going to be a lot of exploration in this game, too, where you're not just going to go, not an arena game where you're just going to go, there's Skeletor, and you run over and you start hitting him with your sword. It's going to be going around, collecting things, trying to take key areas, tactical advantages from different places.
Okay. Of course, with any large IP style game, I always get nervous about how much of this is going to be going into it, going, oh my god, I love She-Ra! And how much of it is going to be, like, actual awesome gameplay.
Like when they remake a movie from your childhood, they're like, hey, we're going to remake that movie you liked. And you're like, oh, cool.
Please don't do Princess Bride,
You know Willy
everyone.
Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
No,
Let's do it, but let's do it as Charlie.
If somebody does Princess Bride, I'm going to cry. Like, please don't. Just please don't.
They've already been talking about that
I know.
forever.
I don't want it to be that way. I just
do
don't.
not want. So I will say at least they decided that this is going to be off the 80s like toy line, so it's very specific. They kind of give you an idea of how the game works because you can look at reviews for Runebound and kind of have an idea because they even specifically said it's going to play more like Runebound than some other games that you've seen.
Okay.
So you kind of have an idea of where they're going with it. With Runebound, the nice thing about that game, which I haven't personally played, but you got time to explore. So this is going to be at least a 2-hour-ish game. Like you're going to be looking for like that kind of time frame. It's going to be about a 2-hour game. It's not like Super Fantasy Brawl, walk in, start fighting, 45 minutes, you're out.
That's really
it's a 2-hour-ish game.
Interesting that they picked such a long game for this sort of audience that they're going for with this, the nostalgia audience. That's very interesting.
Well, and it's definitely, they are playing into the nostalgia, right? Because one of the things is you can right now order He-Man on top.
Right?
Like you can already buy one of the He-Man
You can do the miniature. Where
pre-orders.
is it? Hold on, let me show you.
They're like already
that miniature
where you
right
can,
there.
Yeah, you can already, now it doesn't come painted, but they're like, you can already buy this, like right now, before they even launch the campaign.
And okay, so it says here, I might hold out for Come On He-Man game. I'll be interested
to see what the difference is.
Yeah, I will be super interested to see what the difference in that is going to be, and then the designer on that one, and just because with Come On, they're going so much towards mass market stuff. Their games are not appealing to me as much as they once did because of that. And it's nothing against them. It's just the market that they're reaching out to is not a market that I personally love playing games from a whole bunch. So for me, I'm like, ooh, this one may apply to me more, but then I'm going to have to like do some back bargain deal, like you said, on the docks with gold bullion in order to get this one in my hands, and I'm really sad about
that.
What the heck, Archon Studios?
You have to find and track down old pirate coins in order to do it.
Christian says, not for us. I totally get that. Best of Star Trek says, my girl won't want to play this. Even with She-Ra in it, they won't want to play this.
Well, here's the thing. It hits a very specific time. So I was talking about this with Bryce, a gentleman I work with.
Okay.
He's like a couple years older than me. I think like 2 or 3 years older than me. And so he's like, hey, man. And he's super excited about the idea of He-Man.
I have the power.
But me, being born in 82, I'm like, Ninja Turtles! So like, there's a lot of these cartoons and stuff only ran for certain periods of time. So you can almost really tell when somebody grew up based off the cartoon. And like my little brother, Power Rangers, like, but I'm like, I watched Voltron first. So like, I'm more excited about Voltron than Power Rangers. So it is interesting, like where you fall, like when you were born can kind of determine like which kind of things you're really, really into.
Best of Star Trek says, all these up games don't look appealing, too much stuff. Maybe, I don't know. This one actually surprised me about how appealing it was, but that is because it is a, army building looking across the map sort of thing. So I'm kind of excited about that. Alan says, honestly, We got made fun of on our bus by the older kids for liking Masters of the Universe. Oh, that's so sad.
They do have a lot of other things you can buy too. Like you can buy a dice tower, and there are going to be some upgrades. I like that there's factions, that they do have plans to have multiple factions, because it starts off with, you know, Skeletor and with He-Man, and there are multiple
factions.
factions.
Have multiple factions.
Because you can play like as there's playable cards you can play as the Horde.
Yeah.
And lots of other stuff. I would definitely recommend reading the Q&A, because it does answer a lot of questions. It was quite lengthy. I'm giving you like a real close like synopsis of what I read.
Right.
But there's some interesting stuff in there. I think it really depends on if this hits you in the childhood or not. Because like right now, this flies right over my head. Because I watched He-Man, and I think I had...
Does this hit you in the childhood?
I think I had like maybe 2 or 3 He-Man toys. Like I had the one where the head would spin into different faces. And then I had He-Man, and I think I had the tiger. But for some reason, I think my tiger was red, not green. Maybe I had an off-brand tiger. It was a sketchy time in the 80s,
Hello,
okay?
Kabuki.
It was a sketchy time. And I know Skeletor, but Skeletor was kind of weirded me out as a kid because he was the bad guy, but he was also just the same amount of ripped. And he'd be like, nah, He-Man! And he had that really high-pitched voice, and I was like, I'm scared of this guy. He's kind of creepy.
Crabbox says, cool thing here with Archon is that they print their own minis, so there likely won't be any huge delays for fulfillment. And that is fantastic to hear, and that kind of goes right on in, because I went and looked back at Wolfenstein, their last like really big game that they did on Kickstarter, because I was curious, like, has it been brought out to the community, what the reviews were on it and stuff like that, and they seem to be right on schedule with their processing of everything there. I mean, like, they're saying delivery in June, and then the Kickstarter was set up for August, so I'm assuming it's going to be right in that range there. So they seem to be right on track with that.
Skeletor in the Netflix He-Man is going to be Mark Hamill. I'm going to watch it for that.
Oh, that's amazing!
Yeah, I actually had heard that. I want to see the new one, because I will say,
I love that so much.
For some reason, most of the cartoons they've remade have gotten better. Like My Little Pony got better when they redid it.
Oh yeah, My Little Pony's better.
The Ninja Turtles got better when they redid it.
She-Ra's better.
She-Ra was better when they redid it, because the original cartoons were literally meant to sell toys. Like sometimes like He-Man, they came up with the toys first, then the cartoon.
Yeah.
So they were meant to sell toys specifically. So there's always a huge rotating cast, because there's always a whole bunch of new toys they want to get. So think about Ninja Turtles from when I was a kid. I probably had like 30 of them at some point in time, because I asked for new ones every year for every single birthday, Christmas.
Because you could.
And so I had this huge variety. But when you look at the new ones, there's not as much variety. There's only like X amount of like main characters. There's not 17 different Casey Joneses. There's not like, you know, Rabbit Casey Jones and female Casey Jones and Casey Jones that does a backflip. Like, there wasn't as many of them. Pop-up head Casey Jones, where his head pops. That was the turtles that did that.
Oh, God.
I had the backflipping turtle. I had the turtles where their heads would pop up. And they had like stuff like bottle caps and stuff they'd wear as helmets. I
loved the ones where
Japanese ones where they would like have like katanas, and they'd be wearing like Japanese garb.
You would press them, and then their face would change out to like a different face.
Yeah, that was like, they had all kinds of different ones.
They'd like flip out and under, and I would be like, oh, and now they're like angry or something. I loved those.
The backflipping ones were sweet whenever they worked though, because they would literally just do a backflip, and you're like, oh, backflip.
All the feels.
So,
all the feels.
Right in the childhood. You can tell how I would feel if a good Ninja Turtle game came along. I have not found one yet that I have heard is good.
Okay, so as for Masters of the Universe, Fields of Eternia, I wish they were shipping to the U.S., and I may have to ask some of you lovely, lovely European backers out there.
Smuggle it?
Yeah, whenever this comes up, if perhaps, perchance, possibly, you may be able to send this my way, because I'm really, really interested in playing this one specifically. And honestly, I don't know if I'll be as interested in the Come On one, and I think that's just based off of tastes for that. So I'm interested in this, following the campaign. Next up, Doctor, since you're leading this, what other one would you like to talk about now?
Oh, whatever. Whichever one.
Are you for real right now?
No, they're all, I mean, the order of, the only reason why I want to talk about this one first is because I literally have in the title, He-Man plus. Yeah, it's Masters of the Universe
What's
plus.
What's plus? Then we'll just go right down your title.
It just literally says plus other Gamefound previews. So we can do them in any order now.
Now in any order. I mean, you're just a little cloud of floofiness today. Just, whatever now.
I don't know why she's like this.
All right.
It's because I did my hair. Now she's all being all spunky.
We're moving back over to platformer. I gotta move my stuff around. Sorry, everybody, because
you don't need to dig through the dirt. Okay, it's okay.
There we go. All right, next up is platformer. So platformer is by Awaken Realms Lite, which at first I did not realize that Awaken Realms had a Lite sort of
You've seen one of their games.
I have. Oh,
it was the game where they had the battling, like the holy. It was like monks and stuff fighting on like a log or something. Remember that?
I don't.
You don't remember that? It was like a game where you were trying to like knock people off of it.
No.
And we talked about it. It was, oh man, I'm trying to think of what it's called now.
Let's see here. I just want to check comments here. Power Rangers deck builder. Okay, but we didn't get a chance to play. Chance to stop by the shop. Doctor giving out. Did I?
Okay,
what?
you're,
The
right,
nap
stop.
obs? Okay, I'm sorry.
So Alan's saying they stopped by the Quick Stop on Tuesday. He's talking
Okay.
about how he lives so close to Quick Stop because Kabuki's talking about Kevin Smith
Oh,
as
gosh.
the IP to He-Man. So he's going to be doing the
because he's doing the new
Netflix.
The
So
new
they're talking
Netflix
about
version.
basically
Yes.
everyone's talking about Netflix He-Man,
Okay.
which
is exciting.
Yes, which I 100% understand. And then Alan is talking to Kabuki because they got that New Jersey connection Kevin Smith thing going on.
The other thing I also want to know is if any of you are interested in backing He-Man from Archon Studios, specifically because, like I said, I want to know who my backers are so I can get in contact with them later. Next up, we have Platformer. This is by Awaken Lite. This is going to be for 2 to 4 players. Should last about 60 minutes here. The designers on this game are, they've done Great Wall, which
Okay.
has not been delivered yet, which is
Right.
another big Awaken Realms one. And this one, which I haven't heard of, Flick of Faith.
That's the one. Flick of Faith was the one.
But that's a dexterity-based one.
Yeah, but that's the one I think I was thinking of.
Okay.
Because we had looked at it, but I don't know if we actually covered it or not.
So their Lite series here are being developed for families, like family gaming sort of stuff,
It's supposed
right?
to be, well, they're trying to make a difference between Tainted Grail and this.
Okay.
Which is fair. So this is kind of like where Kamon's at right now with the kind of
Right.
chibi art.
And I think that's interesting.
Yes. Oh, I didn't even mention the art that they're showing for the Master of the Universe game. The art on the cards itself right now currently, and which might change, looks a lot like the Vikings Gone Wild style art. It's very stylized, kind of like almost app-based art, like Clash of Titans, or
On which one?
Clash of Kings, the Masters of the Universe.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised. It
Weird.
looked a little bit different than I would have expected.
Weird. All right.
I'm just letting you know.
Platformers.
So, platformer is unique because it's kind of set up to be like a video game, right? Where you're going,
Right.
like your side scroller, if you will. The idea is you're trying to move up this ladder, kind of like Donkey Kong, right? You're trying to go up higher and higher and higher. And as you get higher, you end up fighting like an arch nemesis. You fight the boss, and then you can
Which will be
potentially win.
different. Yeah.
Now, what's interesting about this is that everybody can jump up, push you off, which can trigger you falling and getting hurt, or make you fall into an enemy, and the enemy can fight you, or an enemy can push you off and reset you. So this is kind of like almost like a push your luck video game, but in 2D format, right? Because you are trying to physically climb up.
Here's the big thing I have with this one here. So this is being
Looks really cute.
based as like a family-based game with the art, the literal words on it and everything. The gameplay of it and everything, though, is
Take that.
mean. It's
Right.
mean.
Well, it's like playing Super Smash Brothers, right? You're playing it to beat each other
I
up.
feel like in Super Smash Brothers, though, like it's more forgiving.
Nope. No.
No,
No.
you're like, no. I get so angry every time I play Super
Do
Smash
you know
Brothers.
how cheap your daughter is in Super Smash Brothers? She's the worst.
That's because
just
she
sits
plays
there-
just like me.
She sits there and she just hits you again and again and again. You're like, cool, I'll just do nothing, I guess. I'll spend my
Because
time
she's just like
recovering.
me.
It's the worst.
Where do you think she
Right,
got that
it's
from?
just button mashing and it's worse. It drives me insane. Now, Smash Brothers can be fun, but it is, right? A lot of those games are mean. I mean, think about a lot of entry-level games. Munchkin is considered kind of a mean game. Cards Against Humanity, although it's adult-themed, a lot of those games are take that kind of mean because the way they get people into new board games is by being competitive. They say, hey, here's a really competitive kind of like me game that you can play with your friends and make your friends go, nah! And almost every single board game that you've ever heard of on Kickstarter that's COVID related or political related, it's always like, take that, pizza party fight, where we're gonna stab each other with the last slice of pizza. Like that could be a game, I don't know. I might have actually described an actual game or I might have just made a new Kickstarter game. But almost every card game, like I just saw one that's about like fighting over the refrigerator and like dietary restrictions.
This one's gonna be
and trying
better
to have
than that.
the best food. Right. So
This
I mean,
is gonna be better than
and there's
that.
nothing wrong with that game, but it's very much a lot of these entry-level games tend to be very, now make that other person discard their whole hand.
Maybe the chibis will make it like not as bad whenever you're falling down and getting murderized as you fall off the platforms.
Like this is exactly where Arcadia Quest is.
No, because Arcadia Quest, you can at least edit that. You can basically edit Arcadia Quest to have no sort of confrontation at all.
I'm not going to make a comment on house ruling a game Because yes, you could take this game and you could actually put it in the toilet and make it a legacy game.
No, but in art...
That's a house rule. You done? Arcadia Quest also has a chibi art.
Please don't put your games in the toilet, everyone.
Arcadia Quest also has chibi art and has a lot of stuff like where if you kill one of the other guilds, that you laugh at them and you gain a coin. This seems very similar in that way, where you can knock somebody down to get ahead. It's very much a take that game. That's a lot of them are like that. I don't see any issues with that.
My takeaway from this whole thing is that when you put a game in the toilet, you do make it a legacy game.
Yes.
So
any game in the toilet is a legacy game.
Those are pro gaming tips by Doctor.
Also, Kabuki's saying, before you know it, the 80s nostalgia thing will be gone and will be in the 2000s. But yeah, Alan's right. It takes probably another 10 years for them to be established and ready to spend money on those crazy things from the 2000s. Like there's going to be like a Justin Bieber game or something where you're going to be the different versions of the boy bands fighting each other.
Oh my goodness.
I know there is a boy band game, but there's going to be like another one where like NSYNC is going to be all miniatures fighting against like 98 Degrees or something, and they're going to like, I don't know, punch each other off of platforms.
I really like the chibi-based art in this one here. I feel like this campaign's already like pretty much 99% fleshed out on this, and they give you how you're playing for the most part and everything. This
Awaken Realms is like, here's our preview. By the way, it's basically the whole campaign.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of actually like that. This is pretty nice, and I like being able to get pumped about this ahead of time and go, okay, now I'm just waiting. Now I'm waiting for what all the cool other little things that they're going to have in this. Look at Medusa. Medusa looks like a champ here. I'm so down with this. I love the chibi art.
I like the art more than anything else.
I love the chibi stuff
it
so
has,
much.
look how, I mean, it looks like it's, I'm sorry, can you, I don't know if everybody else can see it or what. You've got like 2 movement, 2 attack. It looks like you got some defense. Like you can kind of figure out what's happening by just looking at the card.
Oh, yeah.
You've got 3 health, right? He's going to have 1 special ability. Tell me that doesn't look like an Arcadia Quest card right there.
It looks exactly like an Arcadia Quest sort of card, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be an Arcadia Quest style game.
No, because Arcadia Quest is the dungeon crawler, this is a platform. I'm saying that it is very much in that same type of realm.
This segment of Bad Advice brought to you by DrGloryhogg Industries.
I would like for you to tell me once again how this is nothing at all like Arcadia Quest. I feel like it's exactly in that same type of realm. Different style of games, but if you would have told me, if you would have put no title on this, I could have very easily believed this was an Arcadia Quest game.
I agree.
So, thank you. We agree on that. That if you put a game in the toilet, it's a legacy game.
That was not what I was agreeing to.
Well, I don't know what you're agreeing to then.
With your characters here, you're going to be able to equip them with equipment and everything. You're going to get coins for going up and falling down and all sorts of stuff here. It's going to be interesting because you're going to be able to push players off and stuff and make them fall down and bonk their heads, I guess. It'll be an interesting walk, I think, in between. It matters really how your family likes to play games. Like, if your family loves these sort of take-that sort of games, I think this is going to be fantastic.
My mom would love this, but she'd be the worst winner/loser ever.
She would be, yeah.
But she loves competition games. She won't play, cooperative games. She only wants to play video games and stuff where you get to, beat the other person up. She tried playing the Unnamed Goose game with my kid.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, well, can the geese fight each other? Yeah. And then my kid was
Your
like, well,
mom
no.
wants to always fight people in games.
I want to beat you. I want to fight you. I want to beat you. I want to be the winner. And we're like, no, we're working together to be like bad geese.
In this game, you're going to have a lot of replayability because the map is going to come out. I'm assuming you're shuffling map tiles and you're randomly placing them.
Yes.
Because you're going to get a different map every single time. They're going to have different bad guys that you fight at the top of these towers here. So you get what Donkey Kong style where you climb up there and then you beat them up.
And I think there's different levels too. I think you can hit minor bad guys and then major bad guys at the top. So I think that could be very interesting.
It sounds really fun.
This game will be exactly what you put into it. If you don't like take that games like Munchkin or something, you probably won't like this. But to be fair, this seems less harsh than somebody taking a card that says you lose your turn or something. Somebody knocking me down and making me fight where I don't want to doesn't seem as bad. Or making me lose coins or pushing me down a ladder doesn't seem as bad. Well, please do not push DrGloryhogg down a ladder. If you see me in the future...
That's a different type of legacy game.
I'm on a ladder, please do not push me off because I will actually be upset.
We thought you'd like to take that, Doctor.
In this particular board game, pushing somebody off a ladder doesn't seem as bad as, say, stopping somebody from winning the game. That kind of intense card play.
This one is cute. So if you are interested, make sure to go ahead and follow the campaign right
to
here.
get a 4 weird E discount.
Euro dollar.
It's just a weird E. Don't call it a euro. It's just a weird E.
Are you all thinking that you will be following and perhaps backing this game? I want to know. Let's see here.
The thing that I found kind of interesting about this game, or just a really interesting thing, the game is set up like the cards are like this, right? So the platforms are like this, but your miniatures are set up the other way. So it's like they don't line up, which I mean I get. You can't have half a miniature.
So like it's like up this way, so you're like climbing up this way,
Here,
but then your miniature is like sticking out this way. And then he's
so
like,
here's your miniature, this little sweetheart, right? And it's got his little cheek, little
okay.
beep, beep, beep. And he's going up like this instead of like, you know, like normally. Well, I mean, normally you climb like this, right? Like you have to face a ladder to climb it. I don't know.
Are you saying you're upset that
backwards.
they're not 2D miniatures on a 2D plane?
I think so. I think I'd almost rather have like acrylic standees or something that did this,
So
like the Mario side jump.
Little skinny minis, sort of, that you like go up there, but then they'd be hard to grab.
The sweet side jump where they're going, bow, 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 instead of going, I can't even.
That's actually a really interesting, it's a forced perspective, says Alan.
Thank you. Well,
that is a thought I didn't even think about until you said it, and it makes complete sense.
I think that would drive you crazy. Well, for me, someone who has spatial awareness problems, like having a mini facing out this way where they're trying to climb up things this way, it just like it's
a lot for you, and you're like, oh my gosh, why am I walking sideways on everything?
It just feels weird. It's just like leaving
Would
the
it
volume.
make you feel better if we just tipped all the minis over?
It's just like leaving the volume on like 7. You put it at 6 or you put it at 8. You never leave the volume at 7. It just feels weird. There's no reason behind it. It just feels weird.
All right, moving on. Moving on, we have Divinus. Divinius?
Yeah, like Divinius and Ferb.
Divinius? Oh, Divinius and Ferb,
Divinius
okay.
and Ferb. What you want to do today?
No Ferb, though.
What you want to do today?
This is supposed to be for 2 to 4 players, should last about 45 to 60 minutes. This will be a game that you can throw directly into your toilet because it is legacy-based. It is legacy-based. I thought you said legacy games.
I think this one is top tier
you
for me.
like throw your phone in there and you're like, oh no.
Like if I had to, if there was
type.
a fire in the house and it was like He-Man, this, Lords of Ragnarok, I think I'd grab this with my left hand.
Super pumped.
I would grab Lords of Ragnarok with my right hand and I'd kick the door open for the dogs and we'd go out.
What about me?
You got legs? Start running. Maybe you should grab a game too.
So, Divinius comes from the...
Lucky Duck.
Right, Lucky Duck, but I'm thinking about the designer. So this is going to be the same designer who did Destinies and Warsaw City Ruins.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we actually...
I did get that whole Destiny kind of vibe where it's app-based, legacy. Like you can play it like an individual like kind of level, but you're supposed to play through the campaign as starting off as... Well, what this is... I'm sorry, if I could expound on this.
Go ahead.
It's the idea of 2 different pantheons, right? So I believe it's the Greek and... Is it Greek and Norse?
Nordic.
Pantheons?
Greek and Nordic. Greece and Nordic.
Okay. So it's 2 different pantheons, 2 different sets of gods from 2 different areas basically start fighting each other. And during that time, you as kind of like as a, I don't want to say half-blood. That's like a Harry Potter term. I think you're like a demigod.
A demigod, yeah.
I think you start off as a demigod. You can actually ascend and become like a full god by joining like either side. Right,
you're
by being
godling.
like, just be like hanging out with like Loki and being like,
what
hey,
up, Loki?
Hey, I also like jokes. You want to like tie some people's shoes together? And Loki's like, that's amazing. I never thought of that. And Loki's excited.
I don't think that's how that would work.
Listen, that's how Loki is.
Loki's heard of tying shoes together, okay?
He hasn't. They don't have shoes on
Oh
Asgard.
gosh, they have sandals.
Barefoot.
They got sandals.
Right, we can do tie togas together? I don't
What?
I don't know. That's, well, see, Loki's got a whole new bag of tricks. He needs to know how to mess with the Greece gods, right? The Greek gods. So the idea is, though, is you start as like a demigod and you try to like work your way up and it builds and you like unlock powers and you get more powerful and you join sides. And it's a legacy campaign style game, right?
Well, the really interesting thing is we played something somewhat like this with the Renegade Game 1.
What?
Where it has the app and that it is what you're doing in the app directly affects what's happening. Yeah, it directly affects what's happening on the board and what's going on.
Well, my
I'm
father's
wondering
work
if it's
does
going to
it-
be the same sort of way.
Well, my father's work does it like in one gameplay. Like you have the 3 generations in that one gameplay, where this would be, I would imagine, is going to be more like any normal legacy game where you're going to do stuff, and then the next time you set it up to play your next session, there's going to be changes.
But, and I believe
Which
that
there's a difference,
what they're saying on this here is the legacy portion is going to be driven by the app. So in actuality, I mean, are you then still editing the map and stuff, or is it just going to be more like Renegade where you can turn back time and play like it over again with somebody else? I'm curious about that
I think it's going to be more like a standard legacy game, like a Gloomhaven or something like that, where like the map could potentially change, the way you interact with people will change. I don't know about everybody else, but I love the idea of just slapping on a toga and awakening like the power to shoot lightning out of my eyeballs at people or something. Like, who hasn't woken up and said, you know what, I would love to throw like a hammer at somebody and then have it return.
Why out of your eyeballs?
If I can shoot lightning from anywhere, it's either my eyeballs or somewhere else I won't mention.
Your fingertips.
Why your fingertips? I don't want to be a Sith Lord. I want to be like, zap, mother. I want to be Cyclops. I don't want to be a Sith Lord. Lightning. It's weird. If you're shooting lightning out of your hands, you know you're going to be doing it like this. Lightning. You're going to look like a creeper.
No.
Do it out of your eyeballs like a normal person.
Chat, where do you shoot lightning out of? I mean, honestly, it's eyeballs, fingers, that's not... You could be like Storm, where you just like become lightning,
According to William Wallace in Braveheart, you shoot it out of your area.
No, that's not good. I don't recommend that for anybody.
That's what William Wallace would do.
Anybody. I'm really excited about this game because of the legacy aspect. I really, really enjoy legacy games. And I think the theme is super
cool
fun.
God, like pantheons fighting against each other.
And Lucky Duck just is making some amazing games. If anybody's doing the app integration the best, I want to say it's going to be Lucky Duck. Honestly, hands down. Lucky Duck's app integration with everything is just fantastic. Like,
I'm just glad that we straight shut down our chat. Like, they just stopped talking. I think we killed them all.
Did we?
No, I mean, we're live still. Oh, there's Battle Cry.
There we go, Battle Cry.
Hip thrust lightning. There you go.
It'd be like Elvis, except you're like, pow, pow. Like
I get so lonely, baby. Just fire up. Boom.
That would be amazing.
Don't sing that song while you're doing it, though.
I changed my mind. I feel like hip thrust lightning is the best.
What about if you could do the time warp, but you sang the song, and then you actually made time, like, go back?
You could never hula hoop ever again.
Never.
Never.
I don't recommend hula hooping now.
Gosh, Doctor, why are you like this?
I'm just saying.
All right, are all of you thinking about Divinus and backing this here? I'm already on. I'm already following this one.
This is top of my must follow list. Are you already following it?
I'm counting down. Yeah, this is.
Get that 5E credit.
Yeah, I already got my 5
All right, Vince.
credits.
Like, you've got enough U.S. contacts. Put it in U.S. dollars. Don't make me do conversion math. Don't, Vince. Next time he does a live stream, I'm gonna be like, Vince, I don't know what 5E is. Can you please tell me what that is? I don't know what that is in American dollars.
Next we have Lords of Ragnarok. So Lords of Ragnarok here is gonna be for 2 to 4 players, 90 to 120 minutes. This is by Awaken Realms. It is by the same designer who has designed games like Lords of Hela, Nemesis, and Frostpunk. So
Which is interesting because we backed all those.
This designer,
well, not Lord of Hellas, but we backed Frostpunk and Nemesis.
I feel like this designer is peaking at this point. You know, like they're getting to where, okay, because I think this was the designer where I went down, I was looking at all these games, and they had done a whole bunch of games. And then, like, these ones here, I was like, oh, these are, like, their standout games. They're all within the last few years here. Like, they're peaking on this point here where they really, really are, like, know what they're doing, where they want to go with their collaboration. Exactly. Like, I'm excited about that portion of it. And this, of course, is it's like a sequel to Lords of Hellas?
Well, it's a spiritual sequel. So they're basically going to take the ideas from the first one they liked, and they're improving things. Like, they're improving their miniatures. They're giving you some different ways to potentially win. They're taking it with Norse gods instead of with, like, the Greek pantheon, which seems to be, like, the only way to do it, because even, like, Mythic Battles was the same way. Like, you got to go Greek, then you can go Norse.
Then you go Norse. You go Greek, then Norse,
then Greek. It's a very specific way of doing it. I think ever since Thor Ragnarok got popular, everyone's like, you know, you can do Vikings. People are like, what?
People love Vikings.
You can do Vikings? That's sweet. What I like about this, though, is it's the idea that Vikings... Or like that, sorry, I know Vikings is a term like a raider, but that the idea of the Norse pantheon is from like outer space. So when you get like Hela or something, she might have like these crazy like energy daggers floating around her or something, right? Or if like you see Fenrir, he's gonna be like this crazy wolf that's like part metallic with runes glowing on him and stuff. It's very much like a mismatch of science and space, aliens mixed with like the Norse pantheon. You know what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Then this one here is the one that I think, yeah, you get the Valkyrie Hero expansion if you follow the campaign. So follow the campaign, and then if you get it, like, you're going to get this particular mini right here, which I'm super down with. This was actually the first one, and I was like, yes, I will be following this.
If you scroll down, there is one that I think is Hela with a bunch of daggers around it. And I'm like, oh, that looks amazing.
And here's the Awaken Realms line up here. And here's the gentleman I was talking about here, Adam and everything.
This Adam guy, huh?
Yeah, he's making it happen. He's making it happen. The other big thing here is that they are changing the plastics that they're using here. So these things here fit together much easier, because apparently in the first one, some of them were harder to fit together, because as you're going through this game, you're going to be building up these large statues.
Right.
And it is, if you have not seen Lords of Hela in person, it is a sight to see, because you have all these little tiny people on a map, and then all these huge statues, they basically look like statues of worship that you have there on this map, and it's like such a sight to see whenever you're looking at this game.
The table presence is immense.
Yeah, it's so huge. Like, it's so cool.
Like, I heard about this game because I saw it on a table, because this is before I really knew about Awaken Realms. I saw it on a table.
And you're like, what?
Lord of Hellas, and then I was like, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's Lord of Hellas, and I've been searching for it ever since, kind of like, oh, see, like this one. I feel like this is going to be Hell.
It looks
or
like
Hela from the Marvel.
Yeah,
however you want to say. I feel like that's who it's going to be. It's really interesting, like the mixture of stuff. Like, right, you've got like this dragon, but there's like some metal. Like, it's got like a metal wing and everything. Like, I don't know. I'm like really excited about the art direction in this one, because you got like Thera, you've got Ragnar, you've got a lot of really cool characters that I think are, since they've done like that, you know, the History Channel has done the Viking show, and, you know, Thor has been more popular. I think people are starting to kind of get more of this Norse mythology, and it'd be really interesting to see that kind of mixed with like a techno science space future where they're like aliens. And that's why they seem so powerful to us, because who knows, they could have just had technology, right, instead of these magical powers. Like, maybe Loki couldn't make duplications of himself. Maybe he just had like a cool projector back in the day, which we didn't know about.
The other really good thing here is that with Lords of Ragnarok, not only are they fixing all the like little things that they've heard from the community about Lords of Hellas and making this game grander and better, but it's also going to be something that, like, if you were interested in Lords of Hellas, you can go ahead and back Lords of Ragnarok and get your fill on that, because Lords of Hellas is an incredibly hard game to try to go across and find, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's been tough to find. I mean, it's around, but Awaken Realms are always hard to find.
Always hard to find. Always hard to find.
They just seem to, like, nobody really wants to resell them. Like, it took me over a year to get Tainted Grail the way I wanted it, and even then I just got, like, the basic.
You basically have to haunt someone in order to go ahead and play it, so...
Highly recommend haunting somebody.
Highly recommend haunting someone if you don't have the game at home, okay?
We are pro-haunting.
They're going to be amazing. The only thing I do have to say about...
Anti-ladder pushing.
The only thing I do have to say about Awaken Realms at this moment is that they have so many games in the pipeline that have not delivered yet.
They deliver really slowly, I feel like. Like, they deliver, and they deliver a lot for the value, like what you pay. It seems like you always get like a lot of miniatures and expansions and gameplay. Like, the stuff that we got for Tainted Grail is so much content that I'm just like, what is this, like 180 hours worth of content or something like that?
We have, what is it, the Great Wall.
Nemesis,
ISS Vanguard.
Yes. And...
do we have another one or not?
You late backed Etherfields.
Oh, an Etherfield.
So we have four
outstanding. Of them outstanding. And
that's like Sandy Peterson level right there.
I know that.
Peterson Games.
Right. I know that some of it has been delayed because of COVID, so I totally get that, because I had a couple that were right in that pandemic time that have just been delayed. And I feel like they're progressing, and that I might end up getting like 2 of them at the same time or something like that. Like, they might come in all at the same time.
Well, like, late backing Etherfields means that we're just going to get it like a year later, apparently.
Right, but
like after everybody else gets it.
I still feel like, though, that I don't like backing game companies a whole lot whenever there are X amount of pipeline in there, unless I know they're going, like, I'm going to get the game, if that makes any sense, right? Like, if that makes any sense. Because I know at least Come On Games, they're eventually, I'm either going to be able to get it at Walmart, or it's going to come out. Like, I know it's going to come out eventually.
Right, but Awaken Realms goes the other route, where, like, if you don't get it on their Kickstarter or Gamefound, like, you might just never get it. They made it very
exclusive, but am I ever going to get it? That's what I'm asking. Like,
I'm still not worried at this point.
Okay.
But I think this might be the tipping point. Like,
this will be the last one.
If we end up backing this one out, we have to start getting some other ones in.
It has to.
Because at a certain point, I've given them, like, you know, $600, $700, $800, and I don't want to fund their company.
That mini makes it look as big as the box. This is not a Cthulhu
situation.
Yeah, the giant baby Cthulhu. Yeah. That is not the situation, although that would probably be pretty amazing for some people. So,
I do like how they've upgraded the miniatures, though. So I guess they made it so that they would stick together better.
Yeah.
Go together without, like, kind of warping or anything, because I guess they used a softer plastic before, so they're going to use, like, a harder plastic now. So there's, oh, Backer McBacker face. I love that guy.
Backer McBacker face.
I don't know. I just saw Backer McBacker face. Me too. I sadly need a solo and campaign mode. So that person wants solo. So I think they're talking about solo for this one, too. I don't know, though. I haven't heard too much. Oh, see, Alan's waiting on Etherfields
and Great Wall too. Yeah, and since we late backed Etherfields, like I'm super sad about it and not getting it in time. But
well, here's the reality, though, is that we late backed Etherfields, which was one that you were more excited about than I was. But then I started hearing good things about it. But by the time we get it, there's almost no reason to do content on it, because if we get it a year and a half after everyone else already had it, like new people, like we could do it for our fans, for the pack. Like,
oh, absolutely.
I would still love to do it for the pack so they can see it.
Yeah.
But when we're trying to get new eyes that haven't seen us, just to kind of at least look at the channel and then maybe potentially subscribe or something, they're not going to come for content that's been done over years. Like good example, Maximum Apocalypse. I love Maximum Apocalypse, and I wish we could do more content on it, but like just no views. Like nobody wanted to watch it because the game's been out for 3 years.
Right. Everybody is at home playing in those, playing their own game at home.
And it is an interesting thing I kind of wanted to talk about. We went to a meetup actually last week, and it was a group that gets together 2-3 times a week, right? It's a local meetup, and we've done meetup before, especially when we first moved back to Arizona after the Army. And that's how we met most of our RPG friends and everything. But they do a meetup like 2 or 3 times a week, and we were talking to them, and we were talking about some of the Kickstarter games, and they were like, oh, I didn't know Pipeline was a Kickstarter. And they're like, oh, I didn't know, oh, I don't know who Game Boy Geek is. Oh, I don't know about this. They're like, oh, I've been on BGG before, like once. And it's actually very interesting that you assume that board gamers are like this collective group of board gamers. Like, oh, all board gamers know about Awaken Realms.
No.
My boss didn't know who Awaken Realms was.
No.
Had no idea.
Trays. They were like, Awaken what?
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Every campaign makes 2 million plus. And they're like,
how do you not know these things?
Look, they're like, all their games are in the top 100. Like, that's really impressive.
Yeah.
Like all the Stonemaier games are in the top 100.
Right.
So if you know about Stonemaier, you should know about Awaken Realms. They're huge, and they have these huge boxes with tons of minis. Like, why aren't there game tray storage solutions for one of these games? Why haven't you talked to them? Like, how do you guys not know about each other? You're operating in separate circles. But that happens sometimes, right? I know plenty of people that play a ton of Queen games but have never played an Awaken Realms game. They don't back any Kickstarters. They're just unaware. Like Game Boy Geek doesn't know as much about Kickstarters unless he's doing an actual piece on one of them.
Right.
But as far as like if you just bring up like random Kickstarters, then he'll be like, oh, I didn't know. What is that?
But then
is it out yet?
More well versed on games that go directly to market because that's his forte. Like that's where he gets his games
more
in
the
and his
Euros
business
and the deduction games and things like that than we probably do.
Yeah.
Because we're super hooked into Kickstarter. We're looking at it every week. There's still just people out there that just don't look at Kickstarter.
Right.
And to me, that just seems like crazy. There's so many great games that come out on Kickstarter. I just don't know how you can be unaware of this. But there's still the vast majority of our hobby probably owns Cards Against Humanity, Monopoly, Munchkin, and maybe like something like Descent or a Fantasy Flight game, and that's it. That's their whole collection is 4 games. And they play those games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I always kind of forget that those people exist. Not everybody has a collection that's like 1,000+ games.
Well, we get used to talking to all of you out there who are super looped into Kickstarters and stuff like that, and we get to talk back and forth about that stuff that you don't realize that there's a lot of people out there that just aren't, and actually try to avoid that sort of stuff. But Kabuki Kid has a question for you, Doctor. What is the volume of the Caspian Sea?
I'll tell you what,
right.
I don't know the total volume, but I bet you could fit it in a game tray.
No.
With the snap-tight lid and the scoopability of a game tray, you could probably fit the whole Caspian Sea right in there. Just right in there.
Battlecry says they are updating the gameplay for Etherfields right now.
And that would be interesting, because we've talked about...
That would be interesting.
We played Reichbusters 3 times, and we've talked about going back and playing it again with the new updated rules.
Yes.
Just kind of seeing kind of what's going on with that. But another thing that we kind of wanted to talk about is the direction of the channel. We're going to keep doing a Kickstarter show, but I think we might change up a little bit how we do our playthroughs, because we've kind of hit that COVID slump now where we actually don't really know what we're going to play next week. We haven't gotten anything new recently from Kickstarter. That's a big game, because we realize that the vast majority of you want to see these big thematic games, not these like little like tile placement games or Euro games that are very like kind of dry with no talking. A lot of you want to see these big games with miniatures, or at least that are very thematic, have this cool theme behind them.
Here's the thing.
And I feel like we hit a slump where we just kind of ran out of games being delivered.
Well, we're going to try to curate our content in the future. So we are going to focus on these sort of games that you all out there want to see us playing, which are usually much bigger games and everything, which take more time to get into and learn and everything. And we always want to be as accurate as possible, even though we do should you plays and stuff. So I think that we're going to end up bringing our playthroughs down to 1 day a week, plus whatever we do on anybody else's channel and everything. But we're going to curate that content and do very, very special games.
Right. Like there's just a lot of games that, oh gosh, Elder Scrolls is coming. Please don't talk about that.
Oh gosh, Colin.
I will
forgot
admit,
about that.
I will do a really good job of researching it, but it's gonna be hard for me not just to back all in, because Elder Scrolls is
Elder Scrolls so
one of
much.
those video game franchises that I played a lot of. A lot of. It's like World of Warcraft. They came out with a new World of Warcraft game. I'd have a really hard time not just going,
backing that for no reason
because
at all.
I've bought 3 copies of Warcraft 1. I've bought 2 copies of Warcraft 2 so that we could play it. I bought 2 copies of Warcraft 3, plus we both bought Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Yeah.
The amount of Blizzard titles we have in the house is dumb.
World of Warcraft all over the place.
I will say Blizzard and Bethesda probably owns the majority of our collection, or in those 2 realms. So it'd be hard not to back down. And there are some other big Kickstarters. Like there is going to be a Come On He-Man coming out.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other really good games. There's the new Valor and Villainy 2 is going to come out, which we have the first one. So there's going to be some more Skybound games coming out. There's a lot of really good games coming out. It's going to be difficult, but I do think that we want to make sure that we're doing like our best playthroughs and not just trying to do a ton of playthroughs.
All of the playthroughs.
At one point in time, it was just us doing like a playthrough a week, and then we did 2 playthroughs a week. But then we started adding on the Game Boy Geek stuff, and then we added on the interviews with Ellen, and it started becoming where there's just a lot of stuff where I don't feel like we have time to really dive into the games as much as we would like to.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's see here. Alan says, I need to pick up Oath and Shadows of Valeria for my friendly local game store, and Oath is on my list. I really want to try out Oath. I want to try it, though, before I go all in.
That's a great point, though, because I remember talking to somebody that was playing Oath, and they said they filmed 4 hours, and that was just them just explaining like how to play Oath, and then they have to cut it down from there or something. Like it took them 4 hours just to like get to the point where they can make a how to play for Oath. And that's a good point. Like if we ever wanted to do any more, because we used to do how to play sometimes, if we ever want to do any other recorded content, there's not a way of doing it if we're doing 2, 3, sometimes more playthroughs,
because it takes so much time to learn the game, play the
Friday
game,
show,
play
our
the
Kickstarter
game.
Research, right, and also doing the interviews with Ellen,
right,
and other stuff we want to do. So there's just a lot. There's just a ton.
A lot of stuff, but it's all for all of you out there because we love you so much. Okay,
right.
So
Well,
all for you.
I mean, I'll be honest. If I could do this full time, I would love to, and then I would have less excuses because I'd be like, oh, we're gonna play this game, a couple times today, and then we'll play it tomorrow for the show. But that's not the reality. I mean, I have another job. You're looking for another day job. So we're still definitely going to put out content. I don't think you'll see a reduction in content, but maybe just a slight change in content.
88 billion cubic meters. Gosh, doctor.
So that's like
88 billion cubic meters is not going to fit
That's
in
like
that.
4 single game trays or 5 of the double game trays.
Everybody is recommending certain games to be playing, like Monopoly, Phase 10, Left, Center, Right, Go Fish.
I would play actually all of those except for Left, Center, Right. The games that they would try to play at my workplace when I used to work for University of Phoenix were like, oh, we're going to do a game day. And then people would bring something like Left, Center, Right, and that'd be the only game we'd have. They're like, I brought 10 copies of it, so we can all play Left, Center, Right. And I'd be like, cool. Oh, I bust. Oh, I passed the left.
Oh,
I passed the right.
Oh, no. I can no longer play.
I will say something like Monopoly, Uno, Phase 10, Skippo. You have some agency. When you literally are just rolling a dice and it tells you what you're doing, you don't have agency. To a certain degree, games like Cards Against Humanity, you don't have any agency because you can only play the cards you have, and it's either going to work or not based off what they've said. I will say games though like a Snake Oil, where you get to sell your idea, so you have a sense of agency, and I think having a sense of agency is really big in the games I play now. I will not play games that I don't have a sense of agency anymore. I only have so many more years on this planet. I want to play games where I feel like I can affect the outcome, at least somewhat. There can be randomization, but I want to feel like I have some control.
I would love to play Snake Oil, like, for everyone. Has anybody played Snake Oil in our chat? I'm curious to know. It's a Mensa Select game.
It's a Mensa Select
It's so good. If you haven't played it, you need to. DrGloryhogg will not play chess with me, Alan. He won't do it. I have to play it with my child.
Every once in a while, I'll do it, but it's not my favorite. I don't know. It's all right. This is okay. I'll play spades with you. That's a game of high skill with partnerships.
Alan, you should look it up. It's a really good game.
It's the idea where you have cards. So you'll flip out a snake and say this snake is a teacher, and then you'll get a set of cards, right? And you have to decide, you have to make an invention that would appeal to that teacher. So say she's the judge as the teacher snake, and I have to make something with them. Oh, I got an umbrella. I've got a squirt gun. I'm like, are you tired of always wanting to show off your fancy umbrella, but it's not raining? Well, if you attach to a squirt gun, you can make your own rain. It's a self-raining umbrella for all your fashion needs. And I would have to try to sell that concept to her. So it's more about how you sell it than it is just the cards you have. And if you can somehow make a weird combination and make it work, you can get points.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. It's probably one of my favorite games to play that has that mechanic, that apples to apples sort of mechanic in it, where you're taking two different cards from two different things and trying to combine them together.
Battlecry is talking about my favorite game. I used to play so my dad's computer.
Battle chess. Oh,
I had Battle Chess.
Love it.
I had Monkey Island. Right? Was it The Secret of Monkey Island? And I had the original Command and Conquer. And those are the only three games that he had. I played all of them a lot, and I actually liked Battle Chess because for some reason taking a pawn and going like this is okay. Taking a pawn and then going and dying.
So much better. So much.
I want to see my queen come over. I want to see like my rook come over and just be like, bonk with a mace and knock somebody out.
All right, everyone, we're going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us here today and checking out Gamefound. Gamefound is doing some amazing stuff. I can't wait to get all of their releases.
I can't wait to see these stories evolve with these different games, right? Because we're getting the trailer right now. I can't wait to see more and see where these go.
Yeah, I want to see more of the gameplay. I want to see
Divinus and Lords of Ragnarok right now are like top for me. I'm really excited about both of those.
I think so too. Absolutely.
But I think the big thing to know is out of these 4 games that we talked about, since we can only look at these previews, which games is everybody else excited about? Which games do you think are going to hit that sweet spot on your shelf, right? I just cleared off a spot on my shelf, and I need to slide a new game into it. What game is it going to be? Can't have any empty spaces. No empty spaces.
I'm going to say, for me, it would be Lords of Ragnarok.
I can see that. We need a good dudes on the map.
Lords of Ragnarok.
Style game. I like with Lords of Ragnarok, though, you should be able to fight monsters, build monuments. There's different ways.
I just don't want to wait for it, though.
Whenever there's dudes on a map game where it's just based off of, like, the combat, it makes it a little bit tougher for me. Because for some reason, I either will only play arena fighting games or, like, card dueling games or something that has a different way to win. Like, I can't handle just straight dudes on the map fighting.
All right, everyone. If you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell to get notified whenever we go live so you can chat with us. And is there anything else? Oh, Disco Discord party in the links below. Join the pack. Hang out with us. After hours. What else?
Yeah, it's where we talk. I mean, I was talking about this earlier before the show. So, yeah, join us on Discord, definitely. That's where I hang out when I'm working.
Next week, we'll be doing a playthrough and our Kickstarter show and probably some other content, but it's a surprise!
Probably because we haven't recorded it yet.
We're going to be setting up some stuff, so it may be a little bit slower
I want to give them
weeks.
a little taste. We're going to do a sketch comedy show where I shoot lightning out of various areas of my body.
No, that's not going to be it. Other than that, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate all of you chatting with us in chat today. This show would not be as amazing as it is without all of you there commenting with us and telling us what you think about the games and everything. And I am super excited to see these Gamefound releases. And in the comments below, make sure to leave us which Gamefound game that you're most excited about. Other than that, we will see all of you later. Bye.